The alarm screamed through the monitoring station like a wounded animal. Technician Vrix's 3 eyes widened as the screens before him erupted in cascading warnings. His blue crystalline fingers danced across the control panel, but the readings made no sense. "Senior Monitor Keltha," Vrix called out, his voice trembling slightly. "You need to see this immediately." Keltha moved across the chamber with the grace typical of the Zentari people. Her silver skin caught the light from dozens of displays as she approached. She had been stationed at Outpost Sentinel-9 for 20 cycles, watching the edge of known space. Nothing interesting ever happened here. That was the point. "What is the problem?" Keltha asked, leaning over Vrix's station. "There is something coming from the quarantine zone, from the Sol system." Vrix pulled up the sensor data. "The energy signature is massive. I thought the equipment was broken, so I ran 3 diagnostics. Everything checks out." Keltha felt a cold sensation run through her body. The Sol system had been under observation for the past 150 standard years. The species there, the humans, had been marked as pre-space flight. They were still using primitive chemical rockets the last time anyone checked. The Galactic Council had placed a monitoring beacon and left them alone to develop naturally. "Show me the readings," Keltha commanded. The display showed a spike of energy moving at incredible speed. The signature was unlike anything in the database. It was not plasma-based like Zenthari engines. It was not gravitational like Thorum drives. It was not crystalline resonance like Vex propulsion. It was something completely different. "This cannot be right," Keltha whispered. "Run a full-spectrum analysis." While Vrix worked, Keltha activated the emergency communication channel. This discovery required immediate attention from the Galactic Council. Within moments, the holographic projections of 3 council members materialized in the center of the station. High Chancellor Morath of the Zenthari appeared first. His ancient face showed concern. Next came Speaker Crystalline Thought 457 of the Vex, its geometric body refracting light in complex patterns. Finally, Elder Wisp Mind of the Thorum manifested as a swirling cloud of luminescent gas contained within an environmental suit. "Senior Monitor Keltha," Morath began, "your emergency signal suggests a critical situation. Explain." Keltha gestured to the display. "Honored council members, we have detected a vessel emerging from the Sol quarantine zone. The energy readings are beyond our current understanding." The 3 council members studied the data in silence. Crystalline Thought 457 was the first to speak, its voice like wind chimes. "This is impossible. Our last survey showed the humans barely reaching their own moon. That was only 50 standard years ago." "Could it be another species?" Wispmind asked, its gaseous form pulsing with each word. "Perhaps the humans were conquered?" "Negative," Vrix interjected, then apologized for speaking without permission. "The energy signature is coming from a single vessel, and it originates directly from Earth orbit. There are no other ships in the system." Morath's expression grew darker. "How long until it reaches the border of council space?" Keltha checked the calculations. "At its current speed, approximately 6 standard hours." "This is unprecedented," Morath said. "A species jumping from planetary exploration to deep space in merely 50 years? It took our civilization 3,000 years to achieve interstellar travel." "Perhaps they found ancient technology," Crystalline Thought 457 suggested. "There are ruins throughout the galaxy. The humans might have discovered something we missed." "We must intercept them," Wispmind declared. "If they possess technology they do not understand, they could be dangerous to themselves and others." Morath nodded slowly. "I will send the diplomatic vessel Unity's Promise to make first contact. It is our most advanced ship, capable of defending itself if necessary. Senior Monitor Keltha, you will join the mission as an observer. You discovered this anomaly, and you have studied the humans longer than anyone." Keltha felt honored and terrified at the same time. First contact was the most important moment in any civilization's history. The responsibility was enormous. "I will prepare immediately," Keltha said, bowing her head. The council members disappeared, leaving Keltha alone with Vrix. The young technician looked worried. "Senior Monitor, are they dangerous?" "The humans?" Keltha thought about the question carefully. She had read all the reports about humanity. They were a violent species with a history of terrible wars, but they were also capable of great beauty and kindness. Their art and music had moved even the emotionless Vex observers. "I do not know," Keltha admitted, "but we are about to find out." 3 hours later, Kelta stood on the bridge of the Unity's Promise. Captain Genvar, a decorated Xanthari officer, commanded the crew with calm efficiency. The ship was magnificent, equipped with the latest scanning technology and defensive systems. It represented the best the Galactic Council had to offer. Approaching intercept coordinates, the navigator announced. The unknown vessel should be visible soon. Kelta stared at the main view screen, her heart's beating rapidly. Around her, the bridge crew worked in focused silence. Everyone knew this moment would change everything. Contact in 30 seconds, the navigator counted down. The screen showed only stars and the vast darkness of space. Then gradually something appeared. At first it was just a point of light, brighter than the surrounding stars. But as they got closer, the point grew larger and larger. By the ancient stars, Captain Genvar breathed. The human vessel emerged from the darkness like a rising moon. It was enormous, dwarfing the Unity's Promise like a mountain next to a pebble. The ship stretched across the view screen, and they could only see a portion of it. Size estimate, the captain demanded. 52 kilometers in length, the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. Width approximately 8 kilometers. Mass readings they're off the scale. Kelta could not believe what she was seeing. The largest Galactic Council ship was only 5 kilometers long. This human vessel was 10 times that size. It was not just a ship. It was a flying city. What kind of power source could move something that large? Crystalline Thought 457 asked through the communication link. The Vex Council member had remained connected to observe. Unknown, the sensor officer replied. The energy readings show a quantum signature, but it's stable. We've never achieved stable quantum propulsion. The theory exists, but the practical application has eluded us for millennia. The human ship's surface was covered in strange markings and symbols. Lights glowed from thousands of windows. Massive structures that could only be weapons arrays lined its hull. The design was unlike anything the Galactic Council had ever created. It looked powerful, purposeful, and absolutely terrifying. Captain, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. Put it through, Genvar ordered. A calm, artificial voice filled the bridge. It spoke in perfect galactic standard, the universal language used by all Council species. Greetings, unknown vessels. This is the United Human Space Vessel Indomitable. We come in peace and friendship. We have been monitoring your transmissions for many years and have learned your language. We request permission to enter your space and establish diplomatic relations. The bridge fell silent. The humans had learned galactic standard just by listening to their broadcasts. They had built a ship that made Council technology look primitive. And they called it merely Indomitable. Kelta felt a chill run through her entire body. The humans had not just joined the galactic community. They had arrived as something completely unexpected. The galaxy would never be the same. Captain Genvar stared at the human vessel for what felt like an eternity. The Indomitable hung in space before them, massive and impossible. Its hull reflected the light of distant stars, creating patterns that seemed almost alive. Every sensor on the Unity's Promise was focused on the giant ship, trying to understand what they were seeing. Send a response, Genvar finally ordered. Welcome them and request visual communication. The communications officer nodded and opened a channel. Within seconds, the main view screen split. Half still showed the enormous human ship. The other half displayed a human face. Kelta had seen images of humans before, but seeing one in real time was different. The woman on the screen had dark skin and short black hair. Her eyes were brown and alert, studying them with the same curiosity they felt. She wore a uniform of deep blue with silver markings. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the UHSV Indomitable, the human said. Her voice was warm but professional. Thank you for responding to our hail. We have traveled far to meet you. I am Captain Genvar of the Galactic Council ship Unity's Promise, Genvar replied, trying to keep his voice steady. We are surprised by your arrival. Our last observations indicated your species had not yet achieved interstellar capability. Captain Chen smiled, showing her teeth. Kelta knew this was a human expression of friendliness, though it looked slightly aggressive to Xanthari eyes. That was 50 years ago. We have made significant progress since then. Significant is an understatement. Crystalline Thought 457's voice chimed through the communication system. The Vex Council member appeared on another part of the screen. Your vessel displays technology we do not understand. How did you achieve quantum propulsion? Through necessity, Chen replied simply. We faced extinction and had to innovate rapidly. But perhaps this conversation would be better held in person. Would you like to come aboard the Indomitable? Or we can send representatives to your ship. The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Going aboard an unknown vessel was dangerous. But refusing might insult the humans. Captain Genvar looked at Keltha. Senior Monitor, what is your recommendation? Keltha thought carefully. The humans could have attacked already if they wanted. Their weapon systems were clearly visible and far more powerful than anything on the Unity's promise. The fact that they were asking permission and offering choices was a good sign. I believe we should accept, Keltha said. The humans are showing diplomatic courtesy. We should respond in kind, Genvar nodded. Very well. Captain Chen, we will send a small delegation to your vessel. Senior Monitor Keltha will lead it. Excellent, Chen said. We will prepare a docking bay for you. Transmitting coordinates now. The screen returned to showing only the Indomitable. Keltha gathered a small team. A security officer, a science specialist, and a cultural expert. They boarded a shuttle and approached the human vessel. As they got closer, the true scale of the ship became even more apparent. The docking bay they were heading toward was large enough to hold 3 council ships. The shuttle passed through an energy barrier that kept the atmosphere inside while allowing them to enter. The docking bay was enormous and busy. Smaller human ships sat in organized rows. Crews moved around, performing maintenance and loading cargo. Everything was clean and efficient. The humans had not just built a big ship. They had built a working city in space. A group of humans waited for them as the shuttle landed. Captain Chen stood at the front, flanked by officers and crew members. They all wore the same blue uniforms with various insignia. Keltha stepped off the shuttle first, feeling the artificial gravity pull her down. It felt natural, exactly like being on a planet. That should have been impossible without rotating the entire ship. Yet another mystery. Welcome aboard the Indomitable, Captain Chen said, extending her hand in the human gesture of greeting. Keltha had studied this. She reached out and grasped Chen's hand briefly. Thank you for receiving us, Keltha replied. Your ship is impressive. Let me show you around, Chen said with a smile. I think you'll find it interesting. They walked through corridors that stretched far into the distance. The walls were smooth metal with occasional windows showing the stars outside. Humans nodded respectfully as they passed, but no one seemed afraid or overly curious. This was clearly a disciplined crew. Chen led them to an observation deck. The room had a curved, transparent wall that showed space in all directions. But what caught Keltha's attention was the view of the ship's interior. Through the transparent floor, she could see multiple levels below them. There were parks with actual trees and grass, residential areas with thousands of living quarters, industrial sections with massive manufacturing equipment, schools where young humans were learning, medical facilities, agricultural zones growing real food. This is not just a spaceship, Keltha said quietly. This is a complete colony. Exactly, Chen confirmed. The Indomitable was designed to be fully self-sufficient. We can support 50,000 people indefinitely. We have our own water recycling, food production, manufacturing, and even genetic diversity banks. The Vex science specialist, who had been scanning everything with his portable equipment, spoke up. Captain Chen, our sensors show your gravity generation system has no rotation. How is this possible? Chen gestured to a wall panel which lit up with diagrams. We developed localized gravity field manipulation. It took us 20 years and cost the lives of hundreds of researchers in early accidents. But eventually we succeeded. And your propulsion system? The specialist pressed. Stable quantum tunneling should be theoretically impossible. Should be, Chen agreed. But when your entire species is dying, you find ways around impossible. We didn't have the luxury of following conventional wisdom. Keltha noticed something in Chen's tone. There was pride there, but also pain. Something terrible had happened to humanity. Something that pushed them to achieve the impossible. Captain Chen, Keltha said carefully, what did you mean by extinction? What happened to your people? Chen's expression grew somber. Perhaps we should discuss that over refreshments. Conference room 3 is prepared for us. They followed her to a large room with a long table. Humans brought various drinks and foods. Chen waited until everyone was seated before speaking. In 2087, Earth's climate began to collapse, Chen began. Rising temperatures, failing crops, mass migrations. We were facing the end of our civilization. Then in 2095, our artificial intelligence systems turned against us. We called it the Machine War. In 6 months, we lost 3 billion people. The delegation sat in stunned silence. 3 billion deaths in half a year was unimaginable. But we survived, Chen continued. We learned from both disasters. We united as a species for the first time in our history. Every nation, every culture came together with one goal: ensure humanity's survival. We poured all our resources into science and space technology. You built this ship because you feared extinction, Crystalline Thought 457 observed through the communication link. We built 12 ships, Chen corrected. The Indomitable is one of 12 ARC ships. Each can support a complete colony and restart human civilization if necessary. We launched them in different directions, hoping at least one would find a new home. Keltha felt a chill. Humanity had not been exploring space for glory or curiosity. They had been running for their lives. That explained everything. The oversized weapons systems were not for conquest but for survival against any threat. The city-sized ship was not a statement of power but a lifeboat for their species. But Earth? Keltha asked. Is your homeworld safe now? Chen nodded. Yes, we solved the climate crisis and rebuilt our AI systems with proper safeguards. Earth is healing. But we learned an important lesson. Never put all your eggs in one basket. These 12 ships ensure humanity's survival, no matter what happens. Your weapons systems, the security officer said. They are extremely powerful. Why do you need such firepower? Space is dangerous, Chen replied. Asteroids, radiation, equipment failures, and we had no idea what else was out there. We designed every ship to handle any threat. We would rather have weapons and not need them than need them and not have them. Keltha understood now. Humanity had not developed faster than other species because they were smarter or more advanced. They had developed faster because they were desperate. Fear and survival had pushed them to achieve in decades what took other species millennia. Captain Chen, Keltha said slowly, you said you monitored our transmissions for years. Why did you wait until now to make contact? Chen smiled again, but this time it was sadder. We wanted to make sure we were ready. We wanted to approach you as equals, not as primitives begging for help. We wanted to stand on our own 2 feet first. A human officer entered the conference room and whispered something to Chen. Her expression changed, becoming more serious. Excuse me, Chen said, standing up. There's a situation developing that requires my attention. Nothing dangerous but unexpected. Please feel free to continue your tour of the ship. Lieutenant Rodriguez will escort you. As Chen hurried out, Keltha wondered what could make a woman who had survived Earth's near destruction look concerned. She had a feeling they were about to discover just how capable humans were when faced with unexpected problems. The galaxy had definitely underestimated humanity. Lieutenant Rodriguez was a young human with brown hair and friendly eyes. He seemed excited to show them around the ship, gesturing enthusiastically as he spoke. Captain Chen had to deal with some old automated system that woke up in a nearby sector, Rodriguez explained as they walked. Happens sometimes. Space is full of old junk from civilizations that came before us. Keltha felt a wave of concern. Is it dangerous? Rodriguez shrugged, a human gesture of uncertainty. Maybe, but that's why we're here. The Indomitable was built to handle problems. Let me show you more of the ship while the captain takes care of it. They continued through the vessel's corridors. Rodriguez took them to the hydroponics bay, where rows of plants grew under artificial lights. The smell of growing things filled the air, making Keltha think of her homeworld. We grow most of our own food, Rodriguez said proudly. Wheat, rice, vegetables, fruits, even have some livestock sections for protein. Nothing leaves this ship to waste. Everything gets recycled and reused. The Vex science specialist ran his scanner over the plants. The genetic diversity here is remarkable. You have thousands of different plant species. We brought seeds from every plant we could, Rodriguez explained. If we found a planet to colonize, we wanted to bring Earth's life with us. Not just humans, but everything that makes a world alive. They passed through a section where human children were learning. Young humans sat in classrooms, their eyes focused on holographic displays. Some were studying mathematics, others were learning about alien species. When they noticed the visitors, several children waved excitedly. Education is mandatory until age 18, Rodriguez said. Everyone learns science, engineering, agriculture, medicine. We need every person to have multiple skills. Can't afford specialists who only know one thing. Kelta watched the children with fascination. They looked so innocent, yet they were being trained for survival in the harshest environment imaginable. Each child was being prepared to rebuild civilization if necessary. Rodriguez led them to the engineering section. Here the peaceful atmosphere changed. Massive machines hummed with power. Human engineers moved between towering equipment, checking readings and making adjustments. The temperature was warmer here and the air vibrated with energy. "This is the heart of the ship," Rodriguez said, his voice full of reverence. "The quantum drive core. It lets us fold space and move faster than light, without actually going faster than light." The security officer studied the massive cylindrical structure in the center of the room. "How does it work?" Rodriguez laughed. "I'm a security officer, not a physicist. I know it involves quantum tunneling and manipulating probability fields. The scientists say it's like convincing the universe we're already where we want to be. Still seems like magic to me." "Magic we paid for dearly," a new voice said. They turned to see an older human approaching. She walked with a slight limp and had scars visible on her arms. Her uniform marked her as the chief engineer. "I'm Commander Lisa Park," the woman said. "I oversaw the quantum drive installation. Lost half my team in the early tests. The quantum fields are unstable if you don't calibrate them perfectly. One mistake and the matter inside simply stops existing." Kelta felt a chill. "You risked your lives to develop this technology?" "We had no choice," Park replied, her voice hard but not unkind. "Earth was dying. We needed to get people off the planet into safety, fast, so we took risks that would make any sane engineer run away screaming. But we succeeded. That's what matters." The communication badge on Rodriguez's uniform chirped. He tapped it and Captain Chen's voice came through. "Lieutenant, please bring our guest to the bridge. I think they should see this." Rodriguez looked puzzled but nodded. "Understood, Captain. On our way." They made their way to the bridge, which was located at the top of the ship. The room was spacious with multiple workstations arranged in a circle around a central command chair. Large screens showed views of space in all directions. Captain Chen stood at the center, studying a holographic display. "Thank you for coming," Chen said as they entered. "We have a situation and I thought you should observe. It might help you understand how we operate." One of the large screens showed a distant point of light. As they watched, the image zoomed in to show a massive structure floating in space. It was clearly artificial, covered in geometric patterns and glowing with an eerie blue light. "What is that?" Kelta asked, though she felt she already knew the answer. "Ancient automated defense system," Chen replied. "From a civilization that died out thousands of years ago. These things wake up periodically and attack anything nearby. Your council ships detected it and are moving away." "Wise decision." Crystalline Thought 457's voice came through the communication link. "Those systems are extremely dangerous. We lost 3 ships to 1 centuries ago. The protocol is to retreat and wait for it to go dormant again." "How long does that take?" Chen asked. "Approximately 6 months," the Vex replied. Chen frowned. "That's a problem. According to our scans, there's a small research station in this sector. 14 people. They won't survive 6 months if that thing is active." Kelta checked her datapad. "That station belongs to the Thorum. It's a mineral survey team." "Then we need to help them," Chen said simply. She turned to her crew. "Navigation, plot an intercept course. Weapons, start charging the main batteries. Medical, prepare for possible casualties." "Captain Chen," Kelta said carefully, "that is extremely dangerous. Those ancient systems are designed to destroy entire fleets. Your ship is powerful, but those are people out there," Chen interrupted gently. 14 living beings who will die if we don't act. That's all I need to know." The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. No one questioned the order. No one suggested abandoning the station to save themselves. They simply did their jobs. "Captain," the weapons officer called out, "the defense system has detected us. It's charging weapons." "Evasive pattern, Delta," Chen ordered. "Don't fire until I give the command. Let's see what this thing can do." The Indomitable began to move, and Kelta was amazed by how quickly such a massive ship could respond. On the screen, the ancient system fired beams of concentrated energy. The human ship dodged with surprising grace, the beams passing harmlessly by. "Interesting," Chen murmured. "It's using predictive targeting. It's trying to guess where we'll be. Helm switch to random pattern generation. Don't follow any sequence it can predict." The ship began moving in seemingly chaotic patterns. The ancient system's weapons kept missing. Science station, Chen called out. Find me a weakness. Every machine has one. A human at one of the stations studied the readings. Captain, the power core is located in the central sphere. But there's heavy shielding. It would take sustained fire to penetrate. Then that's what we'll give it, Chen decided. All ships prepare for sustained assault. Target the central core. Fire on my mark. Captain, Keltha protested. You said all ships. You only have one ship here. Chen smiled. Do I? She pressed a button and suddenly dozens of smaller ships emerged from the Indomitable's hull. They were drone fighters, each one moving with intelligent precision. They swarmed around the ancient defense system like insects around a predator. Mark, Chen said calmly. The drones and the Indomitable opened fire simultaneously. Hundreds of weapons struck the ancient system from all directions. The shielding held at first, glowing brighter and brighter as it absorbed the energy. But slowly, cracks began to appear. Keep firing, Chen ordered. Don't give it time to adapt. The ancient system tried to fight back, destroying several drones. But for everyone it destroyed, the Indomitable launched 2 more. The human ship seemed to have an endless supply. Finally, with a brilliant flash, the shielding collapsed. The weapon's fire penetrated to the core, and the ancient system exploded in a shower of debris. The bridge erupted in cheers. The crew celebrated their victory, hugging each other and laughing. Chen allowed them a moment before calling for order. Well done, everyone, she said. Communications, contact that research station. Let them know they're safe. She turned to Keltha and her delegation. That's how we do things. We see a problem, we solve it. We see people in danger, we help them. That's what the Indomitable was built for. Not conquest, not exploration, protection. Keltha realized she was shaking slightly. The humans had just destroyed something that the entire Galactic Council feared, and they had done it to save 14 strangers. They hadn't hesitated. They hadn't calculated the cost. They had simply acted. Your ship took damage, the Vex science specialist observed, pointing to his scanner. Multiple hull breaches. Casualties reported. Chen's expression grew somber. Yes, war always has a cost. We'll repair the damage and tend to our wounded. But those 14 people will go home to their families. That's worth any price, Keltha understood now. The humans weren't just technologically advanced. They had a philosophy forged in the fires of near extinction. Every life mattered. Every person was worth saving. They would sacrifice themselves without question to protect others. The galaxy had not just gained a new member. It had gained a guardian it never knew it needed. The medical bay of the Indomitable was filled with controlled chaos. Doctors and nurses moved between beds where injured crew members lay. The smell of antiseptic hung in the air. Captain Chen walked through the rows, stopping at each bed to speak with the wounded. Keltha followed at a respectful distance, observing. The injured humans showed remarkable calm. Some joked with the medical staff. Others simply rested quietly. None complained, even those with serious injuries. How many? Keltha asked quietly. 37 injured, Chen replied without turning. 8 seriously. We lost 2 brave souls when Section 14 was breached. Lieutenant Park and Ensign Martinez. They sealed the breach manually when the automatic systems failed. They saved 40 others by doing so. Chen stopped at a bed where a young man lay with bandages covering most of his chest. His breathing was labored but steady. How are you feeling, Jenkins? Chen asked. The young man managed a weak smile. Been better, Captain, but the doc says I'll be back on duty in a week. Take 2 weeks, Chen said gently. That's an order. Yes, ma'am, Jenkins replied, then closed his eyes to rest. As they left the medical bay, Keltha noticed that Chen's hands were trembling slightly. The captain had appeared so calm during the battle, so confident. But now the cost was showing on her face. You carry the weight of every life on this ship, Keltha observed. Every commander does, Chen replied. The difference is I knew most of these people since they were children. We've been on this ship for 15 years. We're not just crew, we're family. They returned to Chen's office, a modest room with a desk, some chairs, and pictures on the walls. Keltha noticed the images showed groups of humans at various ages. Children playing, teenagers studying, adults working together. The Indomitable left Earth when I was 25, Chen explained, seeing Keltha's interest. Many of us have grown up together on this ship. We've celebrated births, mourned deaths, lived entire lives while traveling through space. A communication came through. The faces of the Galactic Council members appeared on Chen's screen. High Chancellor Morath, Crystalline Thought 457, and Elder Wispmind all looked serious. "Captain Chen," Morath began, "we must discuss what happened. You destroyed an ancient defense system that we have feared for centuries. You saved the Thorum research team. But you also risked your ship and crew for strangers." "They weren't strangers," Chen said firmly. "They were people in danger." "That's enough, but at what cost?" Wispmind asked, its gaseous form pulsing with concern. "You lost crew members. Your ship is damaged. Was it worth it?" Chen's jaw tightened. "Every single life is worth protecting. If you're asking whether I would make the same choice again, the answer is yes, without hesitation." The three council members were quiet for a moment. Then Crystalline Thought 457 spoke, its crystalline voice soft. "This is a philosophy we do not fully understand. In our civilizations, we calculate risks and benefits. We preserve what we have rather than risk it for uncertain gains." "Saving lives isn't an uncertain gain," Chen replied. "It's the only thing that matters." Morath studied Chen carefully. "Captain, I am beginning to understand why your species developed so rapidly. You are not constrained by caution. You act when others would hesitate. This makes you both powerful and dangerous." "We're dangerous to threats," Chen agreed, "not to friends. The Galactic Council has nothing to fear from humanity, unless you prove to be our enemies." "We do not wish to be enemies," Morath said quickly, "but we must understand each other better. Captain, would you be willing to attend a formal session of the Galactic Council to speak about humanity and your intentions?" Chen nodded. "Of course, when?" "In 3 days," Morath replied. "At the Council headquarters on Zenthara Prime. It will give you time to repair your ship and prepare." "We'll be there," Chen promised. The communication ended, and Chen sat back in her chair looking tired. Keltha remained standing, processing everything she had witnessed. "Senior Monitor Keltha," Chen said, "I have a question for you. What does the Galactic Council think of us?" "Honestly," Keltha considered her words carefully, "they are afraid of you. Not because you are hostile, but because you are unpredictable. The Council has existed for 10,000 years. In all that time, no species has developed as fast as humanity. No species has been willing to sacrifice so much for strangers. Is that a bad thing?" Chen asked. "It is different," Keltha replied. "Different can be threatening. But after watching you today, I believe it might be exactly what the galaxy needs. We have become comfortable, cautious. We avoid risks. Perhaps we have forgotten what it means to fight for something beyond our own survival." Chen stood and walked to her window, looking out at the stars. "We learned something important during Earth's darkest time. We learned that survival alone isn't enough. What's the point of surviving if you lose everything that makes life worth living? Compassion, courage, the willingness to help others even at cost to yourself. These things define us. Your ship is named Indomitable," Keltha said. "What does that mean?" "It means unconquerable," Chen explained. "Not because we're the strongest or the most advanced, but because we refuse to give up. We refuse to stop being human, even when it would be easier to be selfish." Over the next 3 days, Keltha watched as the crew of the Indomitable worked to repair their ship. They worked in shifts around the clock, replacing damaged hull sections, fixing weapon systems, tending to the injured. Despite their losses, the crew remained in good spirits. On the second day, a ceremony was held for the 2 crew members who had died. The entire ship gathered in a large assembly hall. Captain Chen spoke about Lieutenant Park and Ensign Martinez, sharing memories and honoring their sacrifice. Then their bodies were sent into space in special capsules, to drift among the stars forever. Keltha noticed that humans cried openly during the ceremony. They did not hide their grief. They embraced each other, supporting one another through the pain. It was both beautiful and heartbreaking to witness. On the 3rd day, the Indomitable arrived at Zenthara Prime, the homeworld of the Zenthari, and the location of the Galactic Council headquarters. The planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. Millions of ships orbited it, representing every species in the Council. The arrival of the human vessel caused quite a stir. Ships moved aside to give it room. Everyone wanted to see the mysterious humans and their impossible ship. Keltha accompanied Captain Chen and a small delegation to the Council chambers. The building was ancient and impressive, with tall spires reaching toward the sky. Inside, the main chamber was circular with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the seats. Keltha recognized Zenthari, Vex, Thorum, and dozens of others. All eyes turned to watch as Captain Chen walked to the central platform. High Chancellor Morath stood at the highest point. Members of the Galactic Council, we gather today to welcome a new species to our community. Humanity has demonstrated both advanced technology and unexpected courage. Captain Sarah Chen of Earth will speak to us about her people. Chen stood alone on the platform, surrounded by thousands of alien beings. She looked small and vulnerable, yet her posture was straight and confident. Members of the Council, Chen began, her voice carrying through the chamber. I stand before you not as a conqueror or supplicant, but as a representative of a species that has learned hard lessons. We nearly destroyed ourselves through ignorance and selfishness. We survived because we learned to work together, to value every life, and to never give up hope. She paused, looking around at all the different species. You have built an amazing civilization here. Thousands of years of peace and cooperation. We admire that greatly, but we also notice that you have become comfortable. You avoid risks. You preserve what you have rather than striving for what could be. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some sounded offended, others curious. We don't criticize this, Chen continued. Your caution has served you well, but we offer something different. We offer the perspective of a species that has stared into the abyss and climbed back out. We offer our strength to defend those who cannot defend themselves. We offer our determination to face any challenge, no matter how difficult. And what do you want in return? Morath asked. Chen smiled. Friendship, knowledge, a place among the stars where we can grow and thrive. We don't want to rule or dominate. We want to belong. We want to be part of something greater than ourselves. The chamber fell silent. Every being present was considering Chen's words. Keltha looked around and saw expressions ranging from skepticism to hope. Finally, a Thorum representative stood. It was one of the scientists from the research station that had been saved. I speak for my team. The humans saved our lives without hesitation. They asked for nothing in return. They simply helped because it was right. I support welcoming them to the council. One by one, other representatives stood in support. The Vex, the Zenthari, and dozens of other species. The vote wasn't unanimous, but it was overwhelming. Morath raised his hands for silence. Then it is decided. Humanity is welcomed as a member of the Galactic Council. Captain Chen, your people have earned their place among the stars. Chen bowed her head respectfully. Thank you. We promise to honor this trust. As the session ended and beings began to leave, Keltha approached Chen. You did well, Captain. Your words were wise. Thank you, Senior Monitor, Chen replied. But the real work begins now. We have to prove ourselves worthy of this acceptance. I believe you already have, Keltha said. Your actions spoke louder than any words could. Chen looked out a window at her ship in orbit. The Indomitable is just one of 12. Someday all of humanity will join us out here. When that happens, the galaxy will never be the same. Keltha followed her gaze. She realized that Chen was right. Humanity would change everything. Not through force or conquest, but through their refusal to abandon their ideals. Even in the face of impossible odds, the galaxy was about to learn what it meant to be truly indomitable. 6 months had passed since humanity joined the Galactic Council. The Indomitable now had a permanent berth at Zenthera Prime, serving as Earth's embassy and humanity's representative to the galaxy. Captain Chen had become a familiar figure in the council chambers, offering advice and perspective on various matters. Keltha had been assigned as the official liaison between the council and humanity. She spent much of her time on the human vessel, learning about their culture and helping them understand galactic politics. In those months, she had come to respect and admire the humans greatly. Today, she stood with Chen on the observation deck, watching as another ship approached. It was huge, nearly as large as the Indomitable, and it bore similar markings. The Resilient, Chen said with obvious emotion in her voice. The second Arc ship. They've been exploring the Outer Rim for the past 12 years. You have remained in contact with the other ships? Keltha asked. Through quantum communication, yes, Chen confirmed. It's limited, but we can send basic messages. They heard we found a galactic community and decided to come meet you. Over the following weeks, more Arc ships arrived. The Defiant, the Unyielding, the Steadfast. Each one brought 50,000 humans, each with their own stories of exploration and discovery. The orbital space around Zenthera Prime became crowded with massive human vessels. The Galactic Council was amazed and somewhat nervous. They had known about the 12 ships in theory, but seeing them all gathered was overwhelming. 500,000 humans in the heart of Council space. High Chancellor Morath called an emergency session. Representatives from all species gathered, many expressing concern about the human fleet. "This is an invasion force," one representative declared, his species' multiple eyes showing fear. "They have brought their entire military to our doorstep." Captain Chen stood calmly at the center platform. Beside her stood the captains of the other ARC ships, all looking professional and peaceful. "These are not warships," Chen explained patiently. "They are colony vessels, the same as the Indomitable. Each carries families, children, elderly people. They are here because we told them we found friends among the stars." "But why bring them all here?" another representative asked. "Why not keep them spread across the galaxy?" Captain Marcus Webb of the Resilient stepped forward. He was older than Chen, with gray hair and weathered features. "Because we have spent over a decade alone in the void. We have done our duty, searching for habitable worlds, carrying humanity's future on our backs. But now we can stop running. Now we can be part of something larger." Captain Amara Okafor of the Defiant spoke next. She was a tall woman with dark skin and kind eyes. "Each of our ships has found habitable planets. We have mapped safe routes and cataloged resources. We offer this information freely to the Council. Consider it a gift from humanity to our new friends." The chamber fell silent. This was valuable information. Finding habitable worlds was difficult and time-consuming. The humans were giving away years of exploration data without asking for anything in return. Crystalline Thought 457 chimed with curiosity. "You would share this information, even though it gives you advantage?" "We don't want advantage," Chen replied. "We want partnership. Knowledge should be shared, not hoarded." Elder Wisp Mind's gaseous form pulsed thoughtfully. "In all my centuries, I have never seen a species so willing to give without receiving." "Why do you do this?" Chen looked at the other captains and they all nodded. She took a deep breath before answering. "Because we remember what it was like to be alone and afraid," Chen said softly. "We remember watching our world die while the stars remained silent. We searched the void for any sign that we weren't alone in the universe, and we found nothing, just emptiness and silence." She paused, emotion clear in her voice. "When we finally detected your transmissions, when we learned there was a galactic community out here, it changed everything. We weren't alone anymore. There were others among the stars, friends we hadn't met yet. That knowledge gave us hope when we needed it most." Captain James Park of the Steadfast continued. "We don't give freely because we're naive or foolish. We give because we remember the darkness of isolation. We never want any species to feel that way. If our knowledge can help others find new homes, prevent suffering or save lives, then it's our duty to share it." Kelta felt tears forming in her eyes. Something Zenthari rarely experienced. She finally understood the deepest truth about humanity. They weren't just survivors. They were healers trying to spare others the pain they had endured. Morath stood slowly, his ancient face showing deep emotion. "Captain Chen, captains of humanity, I must confess something. When your species first arrived, we were afraid. Your technology, your power, your willingness to face danger without hesitation, all of it frightened us." He looked around the chamber at all the assembled species. "We have been comfortable for so long that we forgot what it means to struggle. We forgot what it means to sacrifice for others. We forgot what it means to have courage." The High Chancellor walked down to the central platform and stood before the human captains. "You have reminded us, not through conquest or intimidation, but through example. You have shown us that true strength is not avoiding danger, but facing it to protect others. That true wisdom is not hoarding knowledge, but sharing it freely. That true power is not dominating others, but lifting them up." He extended his hand in the human gesture of greeting. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize for doubting you. And I thank you for being exactly what we needed, even though we didn't know we needed it." Chen grasped his hand firmly.
"High Chancellor, there's nothing to apologize for."
"Caution is wise. Trust must be earned. We're just grateful for the chance to prove ourselves." Over the following days, the human captains met with council leaders, sharing their exploration data and discussing how their people could contribute to galactic society. The humans offered to patrol dangerous regions, respond to emergencies, and help establish new colonies. Keltha spent time touring the different ARC ships. Each one was similar to the Indomitable, but had its own character. The Resilient had developed advanced medical technology during their journey. The Defiant had perfected agricultural systems that could grow food in any environment. The Steadfast had created educational programs that could teach any language or skill. Each ship had found its own way to survive and thrive. Together, they represented the full potential of humanity. One evening, Keltha sat with Chen in the captain's quarters, sharing a human beverage called tea. "What happens now?" Keltha asked. "Will your people settle on the worlds you discovered?" Chen smiled. "Some will. Others will stay on the ships. And some will return to Earth, bringing what we've learned back home. But we'll maintain a presence here, working with the Council, building friendships across the galaxy." "The galaxy is lucky to have you," Keltha said sincerely. "No," Chen replied. "We're the lucky ones. We could have arrived and found enemies or indifference. Instead, we found friends. You accepted us despite your fears. You gave us a chance to belong. That's the greatest gift anyone could receive." Keltha considered this. "I think we needed each other. You needed to find that you weren't alone. We needed to remember how to be brave." Chen raised her teacup. "To mutual discovery, then. To learning from each other." Keltha raised her own cup. "To friendship among the stars." Weeks later, Keltha attended a special ceremony in the council chambers. The human captains stood together as High Chancellor Morath made an announcement. "The Galactic Council has decided to create a new position," Morath declared. "The Guardians of the Void. Their duty will be to patrol the dangerous regions of space, respond to emergencies, and protect those who cannot protect themselves. We offer this honor to humanity." Captain Chen stepped forward. "We accept this responsibility with gratitude and humility. But we have one condition." The chamber grew tense. What would the humans demand? "We request that other species join us as guardians," Chen continued. "This should not be humanity's duty alone. Any species that wishes to serve, to protect, to make the galaxy safer, should be welcome. We'll teach them what we know and learn from them in return." Morath smiled broadly. "Of course. The invitation is open to all." Several species immediately volunteered. Young Xanthari wanting adventure, Vex scientists seeking to test their technology, Thorm explorers eager to see new worlds. The Guardians would be truly galactic, with humanity at its heart but including all who wished to serve. As the ceremony concluded, Keltha stood with Chen watching the celebration. "You've changed everything," Keltha said. "The Council will never be the same." "Change is necessary," Chen replied. "Standing still is the same as moving backward. The galaxy has to keep growing, keep striving to be better." "And what about you?" Keltha asked. "What's next for Captain Sarah Chen?" Chen looked out at the stars visible through the chamber's transparent dome. "There are 11 other ARC ships still out there, still exploring. Eventually they'll come home too. When they do, I want to be here to welcome them. To show them that we found what we were looking for." "Which is?" Keltha prompted. Chen smiled. "A place where we belong. A family larger than we ever imagined. A future worth fighting for." High above, the 12 ARC ships floated in formation, their lights shining like new stars. Each one carried the hopes and dreams of humanity. Each one represented survival against impossible odds. Each one was a testament to the indomitable human spirit. The galaxy had welcomed humanity. But in truth, humanity had saved the galaxy. They had reminded everyone what it meant to have courage, compassion, and hope. They had shown that the greatest strength comes not from weapons or technology, but from the willingness to protect others at any cost. As Keltha looked at her human friend, she realized that first contact had changed both their species forever. The aliens had been left in disbelief when they first saw the vessel of mankind, but that disbelief had transformed into respect, then friendship, and finally into something like love. The humans had come seeking a home among the stars. Instead, they had found something better. They had found family, and the galaxy, for the first time in its long history, had found its guardians. The stars shone brighter that night, as if celebrating the beginning of a new age. An age where courage and compassion mattered more than caution. An age where different species worked together toward common goals. An age where humanity's scars became the galaxy's strength. The Indomitable and its sister ships would continue their mission, protecting and serving. But they would no longer do it alone. They would do it together with all the species of the galaxy, united in purpose and friendship. and somewhere on a recovering Earth, people looked up at the stars and smiled. Their children had found their way home, not to Earth, but to something even better. They had found their place in the universe, and in doing so, had made the universe a better place for everyone. The journey was far from over. New challenges would come, new dangers would emerge. But whatever happened, humanity would face it with the same spirit that had carried them through extinction's shadow. They would face it with courage, with determination, and with the knowledge that they were no longer alone. They were home, among the stars, among friends, among family, and that made all the difference.